Welcome back. The military services each have human capital and recruiting projects underway to build their workforces for the future. Those efforts include systems upgrades and new ways of managing people in their careers. Mike McCalip is Vice President for Government Programs and Strategy at Carahsoft and former Fleet Master Chief for Manpower, Personnel, Training, and Education for the Navy. Mike, welcome. It's great to see you again. At Sea Air Space back in February, March, we talked about assessments on the Fed Gov Today podcast. You said they were very important for not just the sea services at that show, but also for the other military services. What does a good assessment of people programs mean for a military service?
Well, Francis, first off, thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. So reflecting back on that conversation, you know, we think about human capital and workforce development and distribution is something that we absolutely have to get right for the warfighter on the waterfront or wherever they're serving. And so in listening to some of the requirements that have been built to provide that human capital, you know, today at Carahsoft, we have a lot of technology that can really help the government get around that problem and recruit. And it, you know, it's not about just finding the new person. It's about assessing the right skill sets and then building that person through a 20 or 30-year career, having the opportunity to on-ramp and off-ramp at different times throughout their career. And so we have many different technologies that can help the government today in doing that, and many of them are deployed out there today.
You talk about a 20 or 30-year career. One of the challenges that that human capital folks are telling me, not just across the military, but the civilian side of the government too, is they're trying to prepare for a workforce that will be in for 2 or 3 years, 5 years, whatever, transition out to the private sector, come back, and so on. It's a lot more fluid workforce than it was maybe 15, 20 years ago. How does that influence the way that one should effectively build a system to manage a team?
Well, when you build that system, you have to understand what capabilities that person brings to the table, what training and also education needs to be completed throughout their career to build on those skill sets and deliver that right readiness.
Another issue is the freedom, the latitude that the individual service member has. The Army has a system where the soldier can go in and specify the things that he or she's most interested in, the assignments that they're most interested in. Does that change the way that someone thinks about not just building the system overall, but building the technological system that one puts in place?
I think it does, and you bring up an interesting point, and that is today's workforce. You know, you and I are digital immigrants.
Yes.
Okay, today's workforce, they are digital natives, and they expect a world-class user experience. And what they don't want to have to do is sit down and write their name or their social security number or information 15 times on 15 different pieces of paper. So it's important that we provide them a world-class experience as we develop those skill sets throughout that career.
What are some of the tools that are available, all different varieties, for government agencies, not just military, but civilian too, to be able to manage that internal customer experience?
Right. You know, Carahsoft, we have in our ecosystem 400 of what I call best-in-breed and best-in-class manufacturers. And some examples that are used today in the government are Salesforce. And Salesforce is leveraged to provide that world-class experience and also collect that right data so that you can track that person throughout a career, and really helps them on the, I have to remind myself that I'm no longer in uniform, but helps them on the accession side and also the developmental side throughout a career. You've got other platforms such as ServiceNow that can really focus on providing the right training at the right time to the right person before and during a tour. So there's a lot of things out there.
You can be forgiven for that because anybody I know that's been in the service says it gets in your blood. What should a government leader be looking for when he or she is trying to improve that customer experience for their internal customers?
You know, I think the government really has to come to industry with the requirements and then be flexible, because often we'll see the government will come with the requirements with no flexibility. And these systems are working around the globe, many of them, doing these jobs such as assessing, such as workforce development, and out of the box they function. So I think if I was talking to the government today, and we are, is to come with the requirements with some flexibility so that we can drive the cost down by using what's out of the box and then configuring some of that capability to meet their individual requirements.
Mike McCalip, great to have you here. Thanks very much.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.